Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming back to our meeting for part two. We're going to take roll call to reestablish our quorum. Dolores Trujillo present, Vice President Neil Patel.
Patel present.
Board Member Jovita Dominguez.
Dominguez present.
Board Member Patricia Nguyen.
Nguyen present.
Board Member David Lawler.
Lawler present.
Board Member Vicki Granowitz.
Granowitz present.
Board Member Allison Cormack.
Cormack present.
And Board Member Katie Nair.
Nair present.
Thank you. We have established quorum, and we will now pick up our meeting where we left off with 7.0. This is the report of the Nursing Practice Committee.
This is Neelu Patel, Chair of the Nursing Practice Committee. I'll go and lead this agenda item 7.1. There is discussion and possible action. Excuse me, let me find my page. For the future roles and responsibilities of the Nursing Practice Committee. Let's see.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
So agenda item 7.1 is just a broad discussion. We're going to have the same discussion. You're going to hear it multiple times today. You're going to hear it at EIIC, and then you're going to hear it again tomorrow in LUDGE. It did go forward in this committee. EIIC, it went to that committee as well, and so this is where we're at. But what we're asking to do is kind of decrease the duplicative work that we've been doing over the last few years. So the last few years, we've been holding a board committee and then a board meeting, which is appropriate, but we've been preparing materials and everything for the board committee, and then within 2 weeks of that meeting, we have to flip materials and get it ready for posting for the next board meeting. And that means within a 2-week time period, we're updating all of our numbers, we're updating our messaging, and we're trying to get it ready for board. And that becomes really burdensome on the staff, and it doesn't represent any change, right? Because we're only looking at a 2-week period, potentially a 1-month period. So what was suggested was 2 possible outcomes. One was either not doing the committee and doing everything in board, and that's where we lived probably 2 years ago. We did not hold committee meetings. We just did everything in the board because at that point, the various members of the board were wanting to have that input into everything that was kind of being done. And then there was a push to go more towards committee. And so then we were holding committee and board, rightfully so, but it became very duplicative. So now what we're asking is to streamline this and do the work of the committee in committee, and then have that go through as a potential consent agenda item for the board. What you guys have seen today is an example of how we believe that might be put forward in the future. And so when you guys get down, so we'll start at 7.1, right? This is where we're asking for this to be changed. 7.2 we already covered because that was new and specifically to the board. But when you open up 7.3, 7.3 carries what the motions were, who did the vote, why it was there, and truly most of it was information only. If you wanted to hear the discussion, on the bottom of page 8, it says the webcast of February 11, 2026 NPC meeting can be viewed here. So you can click on that link. I recommend putting it at 2 times speed and just zipping through it. Except for you. You could still put it at 2 times speed. It would just sound like a chipmunk. And so with that, you're able to get the content and really kind of understand some of the conversation that's around it without having to bring it back in front of the board. Now, this does require the board members to do that prep work, to go in and watch that. Because I think some of the concern that was brought forward was if it comes as a consent, maybe the board members will really kind of put the effort into it that needs to be put into it. But I truly believe all of you guys would. Because again, that is a recording that's easy to work into your schedule as you're kind of reading and prepping for the materials. You can just put that in up on YouTube, have it play at 2 times speed while you're reviewing your stuff. And I think that that could work. So this is where we're living today, and we're asking for you guys to consider that. The recommendation from the committee on this was to, yes, do it, move forward. They liked that option. So we want to know if you guys agree. And if you guys agree, we would ask you to make the motion to approve the process change. It's right there on the screen. Any questions? No questions. Okay.
I'll make the motion, except I can't see it, so someone else needs to.
Okay, the motion says, motion to approve the process change for the work of the committee to be presented to the board as consent agenda items or information only, unless the board wants to pull out a specific item to discuss during the board meeting. So move.
So move.
Okay, do we have a second? Dolores Trujillo was second? Is that what you said? I'm sorry, David Lawler.
No, I saw David Lawler's hand go up.
Thank you. Okay, we have Lawler second. Thank you. So the motion is on the table and we will open it up for public comment. Beer and moderator, please.
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Vice President Patel, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. Do you have any in-person requests for comments there in BRNHQ?
Thank you. None in headquarters. Thank you. We'll take a roll call vote. Patel, yes. President Trujillo,
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
Member Branowitz,
Granowitz, yes.
Member Lawler,
Lawler, yes.
Member Cormack,
Cormack, yes.
Member Dominguez. Dominguez, yes. Member Nguyen,
Win, yes.
Member Nair.
Nair, yes.
The motion passes. The 7.2 is done. Now we'll move on to agenda item 7.3, and Executive Officer Melby will be giving that report. Thank you.
Thank you. So 7.3 is exactly what we kind of talked about. This was all the information that was done in the nurse practice committee meeting, including report outs, information only, presentations, etc. So if the board has any questions at this point, you could ask some questions on the material. You can pull out an item for further discussion. If you do not have any, then we welcome a motion to accept the recommendations of the nurse practice committee for all items contained in 7.3.
Someone like to make a motion?
I move to accept the recommendations of the Nursing Practice Committee for all items contained in 7.3.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Perfect. Granowitz second. We will open it out to public comment.
We will
Yeah,
be opening
Margaret,
for
please.
public
Thank
comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Vice President Patel, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. Do you have any in-person requests for comments there in BRNHQ?
We do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Would
There
you
is
like
a
to close
comment
this
here.
window?
Thank you for closing the window. It's okay, Mark.
Yeah, yep.
So one thing I just want to make sure that the public is aware of is because we just voted to make this go to committee, that is where if you guys have input, if you have questions, if you want to do any of that stuff, please focus your attention at the board committee meeting days. That means our board meeting, unless we the board agrees to pull an item out for a substantial discussion, it's going to be just what you heard right there. We're going to open up the agenda item. We're going to say we make a recommendation to accept we make a motion to accept the recommendations, and it's going to go through without a substantive discussion on any of the items contained within that. that. So for public input, for public participation, we're really going to ask to direct you guys to the committee meetings, because that is where that is going to really have the effect, because they're going to make the recommendation from the committee to the board, and then the board will accept that recommendation if everything goes smoothly. Obviously, that's not how it goes every single time, but that is the intent of that motion. So thank you guys for that. We'll go to board vote. Board. Yes.
Yes, board vote. Thank you for that. Patel, yes. President Trujillo?
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
Member Granowitz?
Granowitz, yes.
Member Lawler?
Lawler, yes.
Member Cormack?
Cormac, yes.
Member Dominguez?
Dominguez, yes.
Member Nguyen?
Win, yes.
Member Nair?
Nair, yes.
The motion passes. Thank you. Okay, now
Needs to move this to 8.0.
thank you.
At this time, we're on agenda item 8.0. This is the report of the Education Licensing Committee, and this committee is chaired by Jovita Dominguez.
Good
Board
afternoon.
moderator, can you make sure that Dr. Mary Ann McCarthy is elevated, please?
Good afternoon, Mary Ann McCarthy, Supervising Nursing Education Consultant and the liaison to the Education Licensing Committee. Did I say good morning? I'm sorry. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Mary Ann, would you lead us in 8.1, please?
Absolutely. Agenda item 8.1. These items covered in 8.1 will be treated as consent agenda items unless the board or a member of the public states they would like to pull one or more items out for discussion. The list of schools and associated motions can be found in the agenda item summary. This is actually perfect because Lori just talked about this and showed you the one for the other committee, and ours is on pages 6 through 11 is the summary of what happened at the Education Licensing Committee. So the first one is the discussion and possible action regarding ELC recommendations to the board on agenda items presented at the February 2026 committee meeting. These are consent agenda items. Thank you.
Does the board have any questions on any of those on 8.1?
No.
Then I will take a motion to recommend of the Education and Licensing Committee for all items contained in 8.1. Do I have a second?
I will,
Motion to accept, right?
Motion to accept, yes.
I'll second that.
Thank you. BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment, please?
Anything for public? Please. Just type in the request for- Members of the public can indicate-
Hey, Mark, board moderator, sorry.
Yes.
Are you able to hear me, Mark? You sound like a robot on 2x speed. It was insane. So I don't know if there's something going on with is it your connection? Board moderator
Can you hear me now?
is suggestion we can hear you. Thank you.
All right. Welcome back. All right. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, I would like to make a comment. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. Do we have any in-person requests for comments there in BRN HQ?
None, thank you. I will take it to a vote. Dominguez votes yes. President Trujillo?
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
Vice President Patel?
Patel, yes.
Member Trisha Wynn?
Win, yes.
And Member Nair?
Nair, yes.
Lawler, Member Lawler?
Lawler, yes.
And Member Cormack?
Cormac, yes.
And Member Granowitz.
Granowitz, yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item 8.2. This is the discussion and possible action regarding a request to grant acceptance of a feasibility study for a new pre-licensure program in Region 7, the Inland Empire, for Unitech College Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program. This will be a secondary site in Ontario, California. The information on this program can be found starting on page 213 of the packet. And board moderator, if you could please elevate presenters on the list for Unitech. Okay, Unitech College has submitted a feasibility requesting approval of an alternate pre-licensure BSN program campus in Ontario, California. Ontario is in Region 3, the Inland Empire. On February 11th, 2026, Unitech presented the feasibility request to the Education and Licensing Committee. The committee requested more information around the feasibility study requirement step 2G, which is evidence of the clinical placements of the proposed program and the consideration of the impact on its use on clinical facilities, the collaboration and coordination efforts, the information collected via the faculty verification form. And they deferred the request to the full board meeting today. Since February 11th, at the Education and Licensing Committee, Unitech has conducted additional collaboration and verifications to confirm clinical scheduling information and prevent any potential displacement of existing nursing programs. Unitech, after receiving feedback during public comment at the Education and Licensing Committee, has decided not to move forward with the planned utilization of Totally Kids to prevent any potential displacement of students enrolled at other approved nursing programs. Their request is at this alternate campus is for 40 students 3 times a year for an annual enrollment of 120 students. The growth data information for that region is on page 216 and 217. The updated faculty collaboration form that shows that Totally Kids has been taken off and other collaboration done with programs and facilities is on 218. And they have updated their executive summary to talk about all this on page 243. The representatives are here. Should you have any questions? Thank you.
Board members, do you have any questions?
I have a comment. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I think this was a difficult project proposal when it was in front of us in committee. This academic collaboration form, which staff is now using and including in every item, is very, very helpful. I will say I appreciate that Unitech went back and really looked hard at some of the suggested clinical placements that they had put into their proposal. So I appreciate them backing them out of this, because we really are trying to be super careful about not affecting other schools in the region. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you to Unitech for doing that.
President Trujillo, did you have a comment? Oh, Lori.
I was also just going to mention that they did update the executive summary. We did have some discussion around that in the Education Licensing Committee meeting about some data that they had pulled forward that was misinterpreted off of the BRN's website. So it looks like they addressed that and corrected that as well.
Thank you. Then I will take a motion to accept the feasibility study for a new pre-licensure nursing program secondary campus in Ontario requested by Unitech College, baccalaureate degree nursing program with an enrollment pattern of 40 students 3 times a year for an annual enrollment of 120 students. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Patel seconds.
Thank you. PRN moderator, would you take us to public comment, please?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in the request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, I would like to make a comment. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. Anonymous would like to make a comment, please. 1 second, please. Anonymous, if you cannot unmute yourself, please type in your comment.
No, she didn't.
Wait a minute. I don't see Anonymous in the, do you see them in there?
I have it in the comment that says I would like to make a comment. That was now.
I see that, but I don't see them in the attendees.
Yeah, I don't see him in the attendees either. Maybe they dropped out.
Okay, sorry. Nope. Sherry Henderson with Carrington. 1 second, please. There we go. Here we go, Sherry.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I apologize. I don't know why I was showing up as anonymous, but I have yet to be able to meet with Unitech representatives. I know they've reached out, hoping to connect with them at the COADN meeting coming up. However, I am severely concerned with the impacted area in the Inland Empire with clinical sites and the existing schools. I know that it has impacted our clinical sites more recently, where we're being shifted to night shift clinicals and outside of weekend clinicals that we were previously using and day shift clinicals during the week. So nothing against Unitech, nothing against new schools wanting to come in and provide nurses that are desperately needed. Just concerned about the impact on clinical placement. That's the biggest concern for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. And because of that, you're doing the exact thing that we ask you to do. So the really having public comment and having you share those concerns and any of the programs in the area share those concerns, it's really where this comes from. And so we did receive a lot of public comment in the last committee meeting. It did show that Unitech was very responsive and actually removed that they would be using Totally Kids based on a lot of that public comment. I believe a lot of that public comment came from you. So thank you very much for that. One of the things that we need to put out that the board can do is the board can look at the collaborative efforts. That's truly it. We look to make sure that there are resources. If it is an impacted area, we cannot request or require a moratorium. We cannot say there will be zero growth in those areas. We always recommend when we hear that there is impaction, that they look in other areas, that they consider using other areas that are less impacted. But we have no way as a board to dictate that they absolutely go to another location. So if a school or an academic institution of some sort is able to come forward to us and say, I want to grow in this location, or I want to start a new program in this location or a new campus in this location. If when the NECs review that program, are able to determine that that program is a quality program that's not having any issues, then we bring them forward to our board to have them review whether or not there's resources to support that and evaluate the impact on the community. And so when we do that, if they present the evidence like they presented today, where they found clinical placements that other sites are not using, there is not an impact to using those clinical sites. And then if they are using sites that other programs are using, but they can show that it's not, that it's going to be on an opposite day or an opposite shift or something like that, that's what all that our board can do to take into consideration. So please continue to show up in public comment. Please continue to share your concerns. Our board has shared those concerns about growth in these specific areas. That's why we include the data. We have the data sheets in there that says this is what our board has made on decisions for the last few years. And it does show substantial growth in that area. So we do know that we're going to start to hear a lot of public comment on the impaction in this area. And we do hope that the academic institutions that are looking to expand, that they take that into consideration. One of our board members, Patricia Wynn, said at a prior board meeting that any schools that are coming forward to do that, to watch the prior board meetings, to watch the decisions that were made before, and really consider that when you're going in there, because what we don't want to see again is a duplication of having to kind of go over this again. So if you as a academic institution are looking at growing in an area and you've reviewed the last board meetings and we've denied placements in there, it would take something substantial for a board to say, well, I've denied these other two places, I'm going to approve you, because we don't want to be seen as if we're prioritizing or preferential in any way. So please take that into consideration as you guys move forward. Continue to please bring in public comment to us. That's the only way that we're able to make these decisions.
Thank you, Loretta.
Thank you for your comment. Sorry, Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no other public requests for comments on the WebEx. Do we have any in-person requests for comments in BRNHQ?
No, we don't. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take it to a vote. Dominguez votes yes. President Trujillo?
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
Vice President Patel?
Patel, yes.
Member Wynn?
Win, yes.
Member Nair?
Nair, yes.
And Member Granowitz?
Granowitz, yes.
Member Lawler?
Lawler, yes.
And Member Cormack?
Cormack, yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item 8.3. This is the discussion and possible action regarding whether to recommend approval of clinical practice experience required for nurse practitioner students enrolled in non-California-based nurse practitioner education programs. The information on these programs can be found starting on page 250 in your packet. In October of 2025, the Education and Licensing Committee deferred the out-of-state approval of clinical practice experience required for nurse practitioner students enrolled in non-California-based nurse practitioner programs to 2026 to allow time for the BRN staff to gather more information requested by the Education Licensing Committee. Those programs that are listed in your packet on page 251 have provided evidence of compliance with CCR 1486. And ensure that the students have successfully completed their prerequisite courses and are enrolled in non-California-based nurse practitioner education programs. These programs have met all board rules and regulations related to their request, and the BRN staff will be here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Dr. Marian McCarthy. I'm going to open this up just a little bit more. And so this was an item, the reason our committee and our board held it last year is this is an item of great concern to many of our in-state schools and programs, and I'd like to elaborate a bit more on that. I did have some data pulled and organized so that we can share this out today. So the concerns that were brought forward, and to be honest with you, are now in our sunset background response papers, so we're going to have to be addressing this, is a considerable discussion and warrants a considerable discussion around it. So there are several things that I kind of want to just kind of dive into a little bit here. So we have constant requests coming in from out of state to do clinicals in our state, whether that's pre-licensure or advanced practice. There's been bills that have been introduced multiple times about having out-of-state programs doing clinicals in our state for pre-licensure. Right now, it is specifically forbidden. You have to be a board-approved RN program, pre-licensure RN program to do that. And so right now, as you can see just in the last discussion with Unitech, that there is clinical impaction throughout the state pre-licensure. That discussion is also part of our sunset and potentially I believe it's in our background paper as well. So that is kind of an overwhelming focus that our board has been opposing years past on this. Well, we have a pathway right now that allows for out-of-state nurse practitioner programs to come into our state and do clinicals. And when we say out-of-state program, it is the program that is located out of state, but the students that are doing clinicals in our state are licensed RNs in our state. Same thing when we look at the pre-licensure part of that. The students that are doing want to do clinicals in our state are residents of California, and that's why this discussion becomes so difficult to have. So we've had this out-of-state nurse practitioner process in place since the first approval we put forth was in August 2020. We started approving out-of-state nurse practitioner programs coming in. So we've been doing this for 5 years now, right? In that 5-year time period, we have now more out-of-state nurse practitioner programs than we have in-state nurse practitioner programs. So our in-state nurse practitioner programs total 35. Our out-of-state nurse practitioner programs total 41. If today goes through and the approval is placed, we will have 50 out-of-state nurse practitioner programs to our 35 in-state nurse practitioner programs. That's a difference of 15. Then when we go to our family nurse practitioners in-state today is 2,539 students. Our out-of-state nurse practitioner program students are 3,043, a difference of 504. If today's approval goes through, it will be 3,373 family nurse practitioners that are out of state, a difference of 833 students compared more than our in-state programs. Adult Jerry is sitting at 342 students in state. Out of state today is 876 doing adult Jerry. And if today's approval goes through, we'll have 958. That's a difference of 616. Then we have the pediatric primary and acute. In state, we have 102 students. Out of state, we have 105. Today, if the vote goes through, it'll be 117. That's a difference of 15 students. Women's health in state is 51 students. Out of state is 94. If today's goes through, it'll be 107. That's a difference of 56. In the neonatal nurse practitioner role, we have 5 students in state enrolled. We have 34 students out of state doing clinicals in our state. If today's approval goes through, we'll have 37. That's a difference of 32. Psych mental health, we have in-state 1,387. Out of state is 1,808. If today's approval goes through, that'll be 2,236. That's a difference of 849. This is why our in-state schools are screaming. They've been in our public comments. They've been at the legislators' doors. They are letting us know that these decisions are affecting them. They're not able to find clinicals like they used to. They're paying for clinical placements. That's not exclusive to our in-state students. Our out-of-state students are paying for clinical placements as well. This is happening across the board. But this is why we have guarded California in the way that we have guarded, because there is a huge drive to do clinicals in our state. Again, the issue is we look at this as an out-of-state school, but it's our in-state RNs that are going to these out-of-state schools, right? So there's not a clear path forward here. But I do want to let you guys know that by polling these numbers, I think it really articulates why our schools are concerned. We have 35 in-state programs. After today, we should have 50 out-of-state programs that are approved that are going to be doing clinicals in our state. The other caveat to this that needs to be taken into consideration when you look at these is, because this is a new law that we have been implementing since August of 2020, most of these schools have already been here and operating and doing these schools. They're not new schools coming in. They're people that are coming into compliance, right? So making a motion to not approve them is really not recommended at this point, because a lot of them will say, we're already doing clinicals here. We're already doing this. They're just doing it correctly now. We are partnering with Bureau of Private Post-Secondary Education. We're going to be polling this, it's called the STRIF data. It's the Student Tuition Reimbursement Fund, which every out-of-state schools is mandated to pay into in case a school goes under and they have to reimburse tuition, et cetera. So we'll have numbers by school that does help us a little bit, but what it doesn't give us is specific numbers by program, right? So we're going to have to kind of look at that. That'll be more data that we bring forward in meetings to come. We're going to start pulling that data for you guys. So if we can say school ABC is here requesting 50 family nurse practitioner, I can tell you that on their STRIF data, they have 500. That seems reasonable. But we can tell you that school XYZ is requesting 100, but I can tell in their STRIF data, they've only paid for 2. That shows growth, right? So we'll be able to provide you with that data in the future. It's not going to be clear cut like that. It's going to be very difficult because we don't have the means to monitor. So that's one of the conversations I think that we need to have is, we always talk about databases and consortiums and all that kind of stuff that we want for the pre-licensure. I think we're going to have to create something here to monitor the growth of these out-of-state programs, utilizing and providing clinical in-state. Our current regulations don't address that. Our current regulations, we do have to get preceptor information, make sure they have the appropriate resources. We ask them to reevaluate that. We're able to audit it at any point. We do have one line in the regulation that I do think is key, and that is F, and it says the board may withdraw authorization for program clinical placement in California at any time. So on our website, we have a listing of all of our out-of-state nurse practitioner programs, the tracks and stuff that they are asked for approval, along with the numbers that correlate with that. That is all public data. It's on our website. The same with our nurse practitioner in-state programs. It's all public data. It's on our website as well. So we're able to have that. There are a few on the out-of-state programs that they have not given us enrollment data. They were approved originally without us requesting that data. We will be doing a reach out to get that data. I think there's only 4 or 5. If we don't get responses, we will be asking them to come in front of our board and we will remove those approvals, because if we're asking for data and they're not giving it, that's where it is at. So we will do the reach out between this and the next board, and we'll see what we can get. And if not, they will be brought forth and asked for that. So one last thing of consideration is it's, again, looking at where the growth is happening. The growth is primarily happening in our family, adult Jerry, and honestly, more specifically in our psych mental health. And that's because there is a provider need. There is a provider deficit. So again, please don't take this in as I'm asking you to not approve them, but I think we need to be mindful in the approvals now that we understand that for patient safety and public protection, we have to have providers. This is where our in-state residents are going to school. They meet all of our rules and regulations, but then we additionally have to understand the impact that it's having to our in-state schools. And now that we are kind of upside down, right? It used to be more in-state schools and no out-of-state schools. And now we're way more out-of-state schools and out-of-state student placements than we have in-state. And we just need to be mindful of that. And this really articulates, again, why we try to put them all through a similar approval process. And that's why we've been in opposition to the bills that come from our pre-licensure, because if we're seeing this in just the nurse practitioner, who only have about 45,000 licensees in our state, you can imagine what it will look like with our pre-licensure when we're over 500,000 RNs in our state. So it does clearly delineate why we have to do the work that we do and pay that close attention to it. So in front of you in the board meeting materials is the table that has the request. It does start on page, let me get to it. I'm so sorry. I should have had it pulled up as I was chit-chatting there. But
251.
251. Thank you, Marianne. Always coming in clutch. All right, 251. And so you'll see that the majority of their requests, we have University of Arizona, they're asking for 5. You have Chaminade University of Honolulu asking for 6, Chamberlain's at 128, University of Pennsylvania at 5, Graceland University cumulatively is 8, University of Missouri, we're looking at, cumulative 17. They're relatively low numbers, and it makes sense, very mindful of them to take that into consideration. The only one here that kind of came to my eye is ASC Post University. They have 275 FNPs, 75 AGA CNP, and 250 psych mental health nurse practitioners. And so the board could consider to approve all of them as requested. You could also consider to adjust those numbers down. We're not adjusting their enrollment numbers, just so you guys make sure to understand that they can still enroll California RNs in their nurse practitioner program. What they're saying is, if you adjusted these numbers, a number of those nurse practitioner program participants, those students, would have to do clinicals out of our state. So we're not affecting their enrollment. We're not saying they can't enroll, but what you're saying is, of those that are enrolled, this is how many can do in our state, and this is how many you will have to find placements out of state through that distance learning module. So just something for you guys to consider. The question is in front of you is how to approve, what to approve, and what your guys' process are. I'm open up to questions right now if you have any.
I know. The question is, and I'm asking this in ignorance as a public member, but it sounds like you're saying this is a California nurse licensee who's going to get her FNP from the Ohio State University, but is going to stay a nurse or an FNP in California. And I understand the idea of being trained at a California school to work at a California hospital and the whole. So I guess my secondary question is, explain to me better, why does it matter? Because if they're going to fix our shortage by creating more FNPs here who are going to stay here, why do I care if they were a Trojan or a Buckeye? You know what I mean? They're not going to run off to the James. They're going to stay here at Keck. That's kind of what I'm saying, right? So I understand, and I get the concept, I think, of the preferability of a California school, but because I'm for this, I would recommend it. I want to know, tell me again why that matters.
So you are accurate that it is a California RN that is pursuing additional education. So that is accurate. There is also studies out there that show where you go to school, where you do your clinicals, you typically stay and work. So that's accurate too. So it is interesting. That's why that provider shortage and taking that into consideration, it is in California. And that's why I'm not saying do not approve, right? I'm saying please evaluate this and make sure that we have the resources to support it, right? That's the thing. Because what happens, and I could talk about this in a broader aspect, is there are schools out there that grow hoping to have resources, but not guaranteed to have resources. And so then that's when we come in our public protection kind of aspect here. If you enroll a student, and this is with our California programs, we hold our California programs to this. I cannot say that that is accurate across the nation, right? All of us boards of nursing have different abilities to approve and kind of monitor what's going on. In a California program, when you have a student that enters day one, we require that our students, that our programs that we oversee have the abilities to provide the resources that they can be successful and complete and progress and graduate, right? That does not happen across the board nationwide. So there is an example of institutions who one year have 3,000, another year have 5,000, the next year they have 7,000 students. They're all enrolled. Their metrics may not all be the greatest, and they may not have the resources to support that. When that occurs, it doesn't just affect California, it affects those students. It also affects the neighboring states. I get calls from EOs saying, your students, your residents are taking our clinical placements. Your residents are doing this, and it's affecting them negatively in their state too. So it is a very difficult, challenging thing to kind of monitor. What we also want to make sure, because we do have the oversight of our California schools, if our California schools are saying, my students that I'm enrolling cannot progress and graduate because you as a board are allowing out-of-state schools to come in, then our in-state schools are not able to do their statutory requirement, which says if you enroll the students 2 years ago and it's a 2-year program, they have to graduate in 2 years, you have to have the resources to do it. They might have had those resources 2 years ago, but now that we continue to approve these out-of-state schools to come in, those schools may be taking those clinical placements that promised, it's not a contract, right? But promised to use, and now they don't have those resources. So it could be negatively affecting our in-state programs by having them not have the resources to provide their students the ability to progress and graduate, because we're worried about the out-of-state schools having the resources to progress and graduate. It is very convoluted, it's very difficult, but what we're hearing from our public, our in-state schools, is that that's exactly what's happening.
And we don't know where these out-of-state schools are necessarily doing their clinical. So I can't say these 4 are in an impacted area, these 14 are not.
We don't have that right now.
Right.
That was the discussion earlier when I said we need to create a data bank, and we will be creating that. Right now, I think it's going to be a crude Excel document to start with, but that is what we're going to attempt to do.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Board Member Allison Cormack.
Thank you so much, President Trujillo. So if, are we talking about current students or future students?
So there's a mix. And that's the other difficult thing is, so if you look at Chamberlain, they have 128 here. They're coming into compliance. So they've had historically 128 students here. So they're asking just for what they've currently been doing to continue.
I see.
That's a zero impact essentially, because that's already part of the milieu. It's already
Okay.
part of the problem.
So when,
And I'm not saying they're the problem.
No, I
but
understand. We're just
the
using
problem of,
examples, yeah.
like managing this.
So when a student applied to Chamberlain, they expected to do their clinicals here in California.
Correct.
Okay. Is that true for everyone on this list?
No. And we have no way of determining that. We know Chamberlain, we have a good relationship with Chamberlain, so we know that they're here and we know
Okay.
that they've been here. Some of these, all we get is a reach out, and our SNECs, and maybe Dr. Marianne McCarthy can add to it if she wants to, or feels like it's necessary. They do a review. They review that their curriculum meets our curriculum. They review that they have preceptor forms filled out and they're utilizing the appropriate type, that the faculty are all educated and they meet the requirements. They do all of that review in advance. So they have to meet the same standards that all of our in-state school does.
Right.
Those preceptor forms are required that the school re-review them every 2 years to make sure they're appropriate. We can audit them at any point. We have not done that. Again, this is a relatively new process. But in conversation, that now that we're kind of coming into this and getting this data and understanding like, wow, this really grew fast, kind of like a wildfire at this point, not something we expected. We now need to develop a data bank that says, where are these preceptors at? Who is being used? Are we using a singular preceptor? Because I can also say that in in the grapevine, there are talks about NPs that are saying, I'll just sign off saying you did the clinicals here and you didn't really do them because they're being paid to do the clinicals here. So
That's concerning.
it's very concerning. It is, can be looked at like a business, but when you have limited resources and they're paying for them, it kind of opens up to that kind of opportunistic practice that potentially could be occurring. Again, we have no proof that that is occurring. It's just, again, a rumor mill, but that all adds to the difficulty in making this decision.
Okay, and just because underlying this, do we have any idea why students are choosing out-of-state programs over existing in-state programs?
So there are a couple things that we're hearing again, and this is not factually checked, it's all word of mouth, is just some of the data that was presented. There's only 35 in-state programs, but there's 50 out-of-state programs to choose from. So it's
So the supply is not
and demand. The
sufficient
supply is not
in the
sufficient
state.
in here to meet the needs of that. The other one is these out-of-state programs are distance education. They're set up as distance education. You don't have to go to a ground campus. You don't have to go in. You're doing it online. And so that seems to be also a draw, an attractant of people because they're working RNs and they want to take and do their classes online. They're getting the information, they'll be able to do it. And that's another draw.
Okay.
It could also be tuition related because sometimes out-of-state tuition is less than our in-state tuition. There's a lot of different things that come into play.
Okay, thank you.
We have Tricia, I think, first. And then
Yeah. Board Member Tricia.
Thank you very much, President Trujillo, and thanks very much, EO Melby. I have a couple of concerns. One is you said that some of these people are paying for clinical placements, and I have always thought that that was not anything that we wanted to encourage or support. And so I'd like a little bit more research on that, if we could have a better sense, because that just really throws the playing field completely out of balance in my mind.
difference between pre-licensure and advanced practice. So we have a law for pre-licensure clinicals that we cannot pay to play.
Okay.
That is not there. It is a very common practice within our advanced
okay.
practice. And so that is common in-state, out-of-state.
Okay.
It happens everywhere. It's accepted at this point. And they're talking about, even with the pre-licensure one, is what would make it more appealing for pre-licensure RNs to do preceptors, and that's to pay them. So that is a conversation that is being floated around in various states and various legislative processes, not necessarily here in California, but I know that that's conversation on a nationwide level. So the paying for them to do this is not something that's greatly frowned upon, unfortunately. And then in your employment setting as an RN, a lot of times you do get compensated to be a preceptor. You do get compensated to do kind of that above and beyond, because that's the other thing to take into consideration here, which we've talked about in the pre-licensure setting, is we really do need to take into consideration the licensees that are already working, because when they have a student every single day with them, Sunday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to again 7 a.m. the next day, it wears on the nurse that is out there taking care of the patients and also educating the student and monitoring it. So it's a very big, convoluted, difficult decision.
Okay, well, I hope we'll explore that at some point.
Yes.
It doesn't need to be, immediate. When I looked at this agenda item, I thought, okay, if there's a school with 5 students, if there's a school with 6 students, if there's a school with 12, so the two that jumped out at me were the two, big ones. Now you've just said Chamberlain University is a university that we're familiar with, and they have a good reputation. So I'm very pleased to hear that. That's 128 students. But the first university, which has 600 placements in California, I mean, that just is a behemoth. I can just imagine them knocking all kinds of in-state placements, school placements out of the market. So I would love to hear your thoughts on how. So my question is, can we tailor our motion so that we would accept some of these, put some limits? I would love a little bit of advice, or at least just kind of your thought processes on how to proceed.
The board has the ability to put limits, and the school has the ability to come back and ask for more. That is, and our board actually has the ability to remove approval as well. So that's okay. To put some comparison in with what we currently have in state is Azusa Pacific has 626. That's a large program for FNPs. And Samuel Merritt has 463, right? And so, and then West Coast University comes in at 393. Those are our three top nurse practitioner programs in state for family. Psych mental health is another large one. So Azusa comes in at 163. Cal State University San Marcos comes in at 207. Charles Drew is at 114. Nationals at 146. And then West Coast comes in at 354. So those are our biggest heavy hitters in this state. When you look at that and you see that we've got 275, 250, and 75, it greatly exceeds any of our in-state programs. And so that is something that our board could take into consideration. But again, we have no way to prove currently today that these were in-state already doing this, or whether this is a growth that's being asked for. We're working on trying to determine that. And right now, BPPE does not have the ability to gather that data and has not gathered that data recently. And that may change as they're going through their sunset process this year as well. And then we had not historically had that data because we just implemented this process from 2020 going forward. So we're gathering that data. So
Well, I would just say, to kind of wrap my comment, is I don't feel comfortable approving some of these very, very large requests without a little bit more history, without a little bit more background in terms of what they're doing today and what the growth is. So that's just a bookmark.
appreciate that.
Board Member Vicki Gronowitz.
That this all makes me very nervous. It feels really chaotic. It feels out of control. I don't understand why our schools in California aren't doing what these schools are doing outside. That is a question that right off the top makes no sense to me. I'm concerned some of these are for profit, that if they can't get their clinicals, are these kids going to be on the hook, or not? They're not kids because they're already, but are they going to be on the hook for all the fees that they've now paid? If we were looking at these as approvals for in-state schools, would we be approving these increases? I mean, somewhere in here, there's something that I'm not getting that is the elephant in the room, and I don't have a clue what that elephant is, but there's something about this that just seems fishy.
It's not fishy. So I just want to that. What is difficult is it's a new process. I mean, that's where it is because it's a new process. We don't have a lot of the data that we would hope that we would have. Now, comparing in-state.
Can I ask a question before you go on?
You can. I was going to do the in-state to out-of-state comparison, but go for it.
Okay. How new is the process? Because these schools have been operating in California for a while. So when you say new process, what do you specifically mean?
The very first approval that our board did for an out-of-state school was August 2020.
Okay, so that's 6 years.
It is 5 years.
5 years.
And it is when you implement a new process, it is rolling. It is not like everything today. So when we implemented that process, we've got one applicant, and that one applicant said, hey, I've been doing clinicals in your state, review my curriculum, make sure I come into compliance. We had to do that not just with our out-of-state programs, but our in-state programs before, because we at the same time started approving our in-state nurse practitioner programs, because that was not something that we have done. So it did take a good 5 years to even get to this point, to get the numbers for our in-state programs as well as the number for our out-of-state programs. You asked whether or not we would do this for our in-state programs as well as our out-of-state programs. Yes, we don't do enrollment approvals for our in-state nurse practitioner programs. We don't do the review. We don't look at that resource-wise. That is not in our purview. It is not handled the same way that we do our pre-licensure programs. When our in-state programs want to add a track, or if they want to add students, they give us a notice that says, I'm adding a family nurse practitioner program and I'm enrolling 100 students. And we say, okay. So we don't do that the same way that we do this, because historically we never had that. We didn't approve them at all. So we just started approving our in-state and our out-of-state at the very same time. And we are literally just kind of gathering the data now that we're getting kind of the end of what we're dealing with. Now we have a better understanding, and now we know that we will be pursuing some regulatory updates. We know that we're now bringing this and flagging this to the board, that we now have a kind of upside down model where our out-of-state schools are bigger than our in-state schools, and that that's something that we need to consider. But we didn't have this data before because we didn't approve before, and now that we're approving and getting all of our ducks in an order, now the true picture is starting to come to light.
Do you know why our in-state schools aren't offering what it seems like these out-of-state schools are offering?
A lot of our in-state schools are state funded, and then there's the budget that comes into play with that, because nursing programs require a lot of funding. And so if there's no budget to support it, they don't grow.
Yeah, so they're for profit, so someone's making money. And
well, and you can see on our private institutions, which is Azusa and West Coast, is that they have the largest enrollment numbers.
Yeah.
And Samuel Merritt, they have the largest enrollment numbers. I mean, that is actually true, because again, they have a different budget that they pull from to be able to do that, because it is not an equal playing field for our state funded and our private funded.
it's a mess.
I have a question.
Board Member David Lawler.
To go back to what Board Member Nguyen was saying, just to clarify, do we have the option of pulling one school out, just saying no to your 600 students and just recommending everyone else?
You have that option. I'm going to ask you not to jump to that option, because these students are currently enrolled with the expectation to have clinicals in our state. And they are our RNs that are licensed here, working here, providing the care here. And the data shows that they will probably stay here and provide this and become part of our providers. But you could limit it, allow for some of them to continue, have the school come back. We can evaluate resources more. We can do that. Or you can just you could pull them out this time. We can approve them next time. There are many options, but I do need to make sure that you guys understand that if you guys say no, it affects the students that are currently enrolled today. These are not future enrollments.
So my follow-up then is, if they're already RNs, again, public member, can any of them do clinical where they work?
That is what most of them do.
So
if they have that available to them.
In a sense,
but again, they're probably working as an RN at the bedside, not a family nurse practitioner. So they would have to go to a clinic, start working at a family nurse practitioner. That's just one example.
Okay.
But they do typically work in the same area, not the same employment.
just to give you an anecdotal answer to that question, I work at a major academic university, and I have RN colleagues that are in a family nurse practitioner and acute care nurse practitioner program that can't get clinical placement sites for nurse practicing within my academic center, within their area of employment. They have to seek it somewhere else, and they're having a very difficult time.
Just go 4th floor to 6th floor. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's a very difficult thing, but we're right now just kind of gathering and learning what the N is, because this was something we had no idea was going on until we got the regulatory authority to do it, and we started gathering the data. So now we have good data for 5 solid years, which actually now shows us that the out of state are greater than our in state, and it supports what our in state schools are saying.
So, Lori, what you're saying is a school like ASC Post University that has 600 students, those 600 students are already enrolled?
Potentially, yes. And potentially could be doing clinicals today, just waiting to come into compliance with our regs right now.
Right.
Yep.
Board Member Tricia Bruin?
Well, I'm very interested in hearing public comment on this item before I make up my mind, but can we defer this until the next committee meeting and have a better conversation with a little bit more information without saying no to any specific school?
I'm going to ask that we don't, because we've deferred this since August of 2025. So we deferred it out of committee. We had a presentation at the board meeting. We promised that we would bring them back. We're bringing them back. So this has been deferred now with these students in limbo who are enrolled in these programs in limbo since fall.
I just have a comment to say it's mind-boggling to me that the schools are not responsible for finding their students clinical placements, such as CRNA programs across the country find their students clinical placement sites compared to the other various specialties.
So I can't speak for what the laws are around the nation because I don't know, but the California laws are that if you have a student enrolled, you as the academic institution must find the student the clinical placement, and we do have that in our regulations. And so when we review and evaluate our in-state schools for our nurse practitioner programs, that is required. I can't speak to CRNAs because, again, we do not oversee CRNA programs in our state. We do kind of a cursory review of CNSs and nurse midwives. But again, those schools currently are not required to come through and be approved by BRN. The nurse practitioner programs are just recently required to be approved by BRN again. And now because of that, we're finding out that this is what is occurring, and we're getting new data brought to us.
Board Member David Lawler.
Can I suggest we hear can we hear public comment before we make a motion? Because if the students are mostly already enrolled, then I guess I have my mind made up, but I want to hear public comment before any official motion is made. Is that all right?
Sure. Board Member Katie Neer.
Can I just clarify one piece? Is what I'm hearing from the group, obviously this is not an easy decision, but at the same time, there's a lack of clarity as to what are we really trying to support. Is the end goal to capture data moving forward, to use that data to help us drive and make a solidified decision of how we support this moving forward?
Yes, and so I'll try to explain that. With this being a brand new process, with us starting this in fall of 2020 and getting this data in, we had a set of regulations that we worked off of to get to this point. It is now clear that those regulations need further refinement in order to move us past that. So we're limited to what we have the authority to do with the current regulatory structure that we have. We can always ask. We cannot demand, right? So we can ask, but we don't have the regulatory authority to hold them accountable to that ask. So we will need to update our regs to be able to make this a more robust process of review. So that is a good 2 years or so down the road. In the meantime, we have this in front of us that we have to make decisions based on our current regulatory framework, and they meet all the requirements for approval based on our current regulatory framework. So we can't continue to punt it, but we can get more information. But in order to get more information, I do have to set up a regulatory structure first. And we will be able to do that. We'll bring more forward. We are partnering with our other institutions, the Bureau of Private Post-Secondary Education, to try to get that. But then the caveat to that, the Bureau of Private Post-Secondary Education does not have a lot of authority over out-of-state programs. It's usually just kind of a one-page checklist. So that is being discussed, I'm sure, in their sunset process this year as well. If that updates and changes, they'll be able to have it. If we update some of our law changes, we'll be able to have it. So this is all future speak. But right now, we don't have the infrastructure or the regulatory authority to gather all the data that's needed. So based on what our current law is, they meet the requirements for approval.
Thanks for clarifying.
Any other questions or comments from board members? In lieu of making a motion right now, we would like to go out to public comment. Board moderator, can you please open us up for public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment."
And for clarification, this is for any item under 8.3, so including 8.3.1 through 8.3.13. All right.
No? This is a standalone agenda item. We already did the consent ones. So we did Unitech and now we're on the out-of-state program. Or no, you are absolutely correct.
Yeah. 3.1.
I am wrong. I am so wrong. Thank you, Reza.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So 8.3, anything in it? Yeah.
Okay, so before I start here, Anonymous, I'm not going to call you out, but I'm hoping that is, hold on, that is Sherry Henderson. I have 3 requests here, so I'm just going to go one time, but I'm going to mark them all as answered. So I'm hoping that is you. So again, Sherry Henderson, I'm hoping this is you. 1 second.
This time it is not me.
Oh, wow. I have 3 requests from Anonymous, but I have no Anonymous in our list. In the
Yeah, not me
attendees
this
list.
time. Thank you, though.
Okay, I am sorry, Sherry. Thank you.
No
Thank you for
worries.
unmuting and speaking. Okay, so I have no idea why Anonymous is showing up.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pause really quick. I'm gonna ask for some board legal guidance as well as this is. So we have several comments that are popping up as anonymous from 1 minute ago that says, "I would like to make a comment." She did state her name, Mark, so you can pull up John Dam from USD. Then we do have Thomas Johnston that says, "I have a comment." We have an anonymous, "I would like to make a comment." Another anonymous that said, "I would like to make a comment. Can I be unmuted?" And another anonymous that said, "They would like to make a comment." It looks like there is an error that is occurring. So if you are putting "I would like to make a comment," I would like you to restate "I would like to make a comment." One of them just now said the system marks this as anonymous. So please, knowing that there was another person that corrected theirs, it says, "I would like to be unmuted." Kimberly Nerud, ASC Post. So if you want to make a comment, please re-enter your comment with your name that you're registered in the comment section so that we can send you a message to unmute. It does look like we're having a technical issue with our platform, and public comment is really the only reason that we're here. It's really, really important. So I want to make sure that you guys are able to be seen. So we do have a San Diego State. We've got some names popping in. So please, thank you. It looks like we resolved this. I appreciate that. And so board moderator, we'll go to the first public comment, which is Don Dam from USD.
Just real quick, Reza here. A quick thing, minor thing, following up what Lori said. If you are re-entering your request to make a comment, just know if you'd like to make a comment anonymously without identifying yourself, you can. But put your initials or put some kind of a unique word or something that we can use to differentiate the different folks that are popping up as anonymous. If you're not comfortable putting your name or identifier there, just put something unique so we can tell who's who. Thanks.
It would need to be unique to what you guys are signed in as, because what our board moderator looks for is he goes through the list of attendees to send you the invite to unmute. So if you are in the if you're in the attendees as AW, then you can say, I would like to make a comment AW, and that will allow us to choose you to make a comment. But if you say, I want to make a comment, my name's Batman, but you're in the comment section as Dolores Trujillo, we will not be able to send you the invite to unmute. So I will need you to, as much as you possibly can, identify how you're signed into our meeting so that we could send you the invite to do that. If you do not want to be noticed by name, we ask you to sign out of our meeting and come in to our meeting with your fictitious name. And then you can say that I want to be elevated. My name is Batman, and you are listed in here as Batman. So we could send you the message to unmute.
All right. So Don Dam, 1 second, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
There you go. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry about that. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, members of the board. I'm Dawn Dam, and I'm the nurse practitioner clinical placement coordinator at the University of San Diego. And I want to express our strong opposition to the approval of clinical practice experience for these out-of-state schools. California-based nurse practitioner programs are facing a day-to-day struggle. Firsthand, I can tell you, to secure enough clinical hours for our students. Identifying qualified preceptors willing to take students is an immense challenge. By approving these programs, the board is essentially going to be allowing external entities to displace our students that are enrolled in California-based programs from our own clinical sites. And it's potentially going to delay graduation. Introducing out-of-state competition, especially programs that pay preceptors or use a service or even have their own students reach out for placements, it creates a very negative environment. Payment for clinical placements turns them into a commodity. It's just sold to the highest bidder. And we don't pay for placements. We can't compete with that. It really undermines the partnerships that are based on educational merit and local community investment. Clinical experiences that are managed by institutions that are thousands of miles away would lack oversight. Our clinical faculty make site visits. They assess student progress while maintaining a close connection to the institution here. Distant programs can't match that accountability. Furthermore, California-based programs invest heavily in the local healthcare infrastructure. Non-California programs would utilize our resources without contributing to the state's educational tax base, supporting local faculty and the California economy. So we strongly urge the board to prioritize and protect the clinical capacity for students enrolled in California-based programs, as we are fully integrated into and accountable to the California healthcare community. We adamantly oppose the approval for clinical hours for the state, for these out-of-state programs. Thank you very much for your time and for your consideration.
Thank you for your comment. Thomas Johnston would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Thomas, go ahead. I see that you've unmuted yourself. Are you not able to speak? Hey, Thomas, I will come back to you. Kimberly Narud would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Uh-oh, I lost you, Kimberly. Hold on. Sorry. So Dr. Narud, on your computer, probably behind a window that you have. There you go.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So to
Thank you.
make sure you can hear me. Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I do want to speak on behalf of American Sentinel and Post University. While I know our numbers do look high, we do have a very robust program in your state. We have been in California since 2020. We were probably one of your early out-of-state programs. The current numbers you are looking at in the packet, though, we currently have a family practice and adult gero program in your state. The request from us was to give you projected numbers. Those were our projected numbers. We have been asking for the last year to have approval for our psych mental health specialty in your state. We currently do not have students. That is the pipeline of students I would have that would want to start the psych mental health program in our college at your state. Those are your California nurses. Those are your students. I do feel like we provide a great opportunity for your current nurses in your state to be able to stay in their home state and to be able to practice and advance their degree. I do want to clarify a few myths that I'm hearing in the room. We do not pay for preceptors. That is not something we do. And we also have to ensure that our students have clinical placement. That's part of federal law. We have to do that for Title 19. So these are things that we are currently doing. We are in compliance. We fill out all the necessary paperwork. We make sure our students have a very robust and meaningful experience. We check in regularly with our preceptors during that time. We have a large staff of, I have a large staff of clinical coordinators, and I have a huge support from the regulatory department to be able to manage this many students. This is a big undertaking, and it does require a lot of resources. So I just would hope that you would not think about turning away students that are your California nurses and ending their dreams of finishing their career as advanced practice nurses. I'm willing to supply any information you need. All you have to do is ask. We freely share anything that you need that we have not already given you. And thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak. And I entertain any questions you may have.
Thank you for your comment. Thomas, I'm going to come back to you. 1 second here. Let's see. Okay, Thomas. So I see that you're unmuted. If your computer or whatever you're using has a speaker, you should be able to speak. It's on your end. It's not on our end. You've fulfilled our end. Okay, Thomas, I'm going to ask that you type in your comment. Ricardo DeVere would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank
Welcome.
you. My name's Ricardo DeVere, and I work as the clinical placement liaison for the University of San Diego Nurse Practitioner Program. In this role, I'm a boots on the ground contact with preceptors across the community. This gives me firsthand insight into both the opportunities and challenges of student placements. On behalf of the University of San Diego, we are totally against approval of more out-of-state nurse practitioner programs seeking clinical training placements in California. As a brick and mortar institution, we provide high quality in-person education and mentorship while actively partnering with local organizations to secure clinical experiences that support the region's healthcare needs. Clinical placement sites are already extremely strained, and additional more out-of-state online student programs would further limit access for California university-based students. To our knowledge, local nurse practitioner schools do not pay preceptors. However, I believe some out-of-state programs that are currently under consideration do. This creates an uneven playing field and places local programs at a significant disadvantage in securing clinical rotations. It is not the common practice in our experience that preceptors are being paid. Out-of-state programs, students doing clinical hours in California are displacing our own students. We respectfully urge the board to please protect our local California university students by voting against approval of more out-of-state clinical training requests, and at least postpone that decision at this time to get further input and comment from the community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Karen McCauley would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Welcome. Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm Karen McCauley. I'm the director at San Diego State University. We just actually finished our very rigorous accreditation survey by the Board of Registered Nursing at San Diego State that ended yesterday. The requirements for in-state schools to have adequate preceptors was highly scrutinized within our programs. As you know, being part of the California State University system, we across the state have difficulty finding nurse practitioner placements because it is saturated by out-of-state students. We will have to limit enrollment into our program if this continues and increases over time. I urge the board to not recommend out-of-state students coming into our out-of-state programs, because what will happen is we will end up having these programs for our local students because we are competing for sites. The other issue is most of the out-of-state programs do not go through the established consortiums of getting placements. So for us to get placements in San Diego, just like USD, we have to go through the consortium to allow for those. But these arrangements are being done outside the consortiums. So we ourselves, those of us who are trying to have very robust nurse practitioner programs, are feeling the pinch of not having enough placements for our students. And it's just not family, it's every single specialty. So I urge the board to really think about what the potential impact would be to our California schools. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Dee Dee would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Dee Dee Stark.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you and welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for allowing me to make a comment. As stated, my name is Dee Dee Stark, and I work as a clinical coordinator at a community hospital. And we do provide clinical placement for both local universities and out of state, but only out of state for our own employees. So I believe that our own employees choose out of state as an option based on the financial cost and strain on them. I'm concerned that if the board turns away this opportunity for other institutions, that a lot of the employees that we have at these out-of-state programs will no longer be able to get their clinical hours. And I just want to say thank you to the board again for listening to my comment.
Thank you for your comment. Mandy Nestor would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. I just wanted to make the comment. We are a small school in Kansas. We have just very few California students that at this time we do have full-time and part-time clinical coordinators who find placements. And we, our students do not pay. We as a school do not pay. We highly encourage them not to pay. We have the same problem in our state where we have a difficult time finding clinical placements. And unfortunately, you know, the nature of the game right now are the online programs, and a majority of our students are from our state, but we do have a fair amount that, you know, are all over the United States, like many of the other colleges here. And I understand the concern of taking spots away from California schools. Us, you know, I think we have at any given time maybe 5 students that live in California. So I think a broad statement of no schools at all really hurts your citizens in California. I mean, I understand if we were coming in and asking for 200 placement spots a year, but I think a blanket no could hurt your citizens just as much as, you know, so, I don't know, that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Indiana McClellan would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Yes, hello, good afternoon.
Thank you and welcome.
Oh, hi. Oh, I put it in the chat, but I just want to make a statement that although some of the private institutions may not be aware of, that the students are actually paying nurse practitioner directly, for instance, because I know it, I've been in this situation where they may be out of state school, the school may not be paying, you know, for preceptorship, but the only way the student can get the preceptorship to get those documents signed or even the role is that they're paying the preceptors. So, and it can be pretty hefty, but that's what they're doing to get completed. That's my comment. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for your comment.
Mark, it looks like the Thomas Johnson did type in. Do you want me to read that?
Please.
Thank you. So real quick, just to back up what Indiana just said in there, that is accurate. Although the school may not be paying for preceptor sites, the students are paying for preceptor sites, and the school may not be aware of that. So even though the school is saying that they're not having that happen, there are businesses out there. You can just Google nurse practitioner clinical sites, and they'll have all of these that pop up that you can pay for. So it is definitely happening. On the comment from Thomas Johnston, it says, we are from the University of Arizona. We have a strong relationship with California students in many of our programs. As a flagship state university, we do not pay preceptors. Thank you for your consideration and look forward to collaborating alongside California schools moving forward. I did get an email reach out that was just sent to me as well from the School of Nursing Loma Linda. It says, dear BRN colleagues, I've been experiencing difficulty accessing the chat function for the webinar for item 8.4. Our program cannot add additional nurse practitioner students due to the lack of clinical placement sites. Most in-state and out-of-state NP programs do pay for preceptors. This is a significant issue and a barrier for our desire to offer additional educational offerings for APRNs and nurse practitioners in particular. Thank you for the opportunity to share the issues I have today with access and limited information on what the issues are with the clinical placements and preceptors. When I received that, the prior public comment came forward, and so I do just want to make sure that that was addressed, and I apologize it didn't load into my feed. It did come forward an hour ago, and it was related to the Unitech approval. It just said, on behalf of the Inland Empire Health Education Consortium, I respectfully submit this statement regarding the growing challenges related to within the Inland Empire region. Communities throughout our service area, including Ontario, Riverside, and San Bernardino, are experiencing significant strain due to the high concentration of nursing programs, particularly pre-licensure RN and BSN programs. This rapid expansion has created an increasing competitive environment for securing high-quality clinical placements. Our consortium members have communicated that they are reaching maximum capacity and in many cases are no longer able to accommodate additional nursing programs for clinical rotation. This limitation poses a significant barrier to the continued growth and sustainability of the nursing education in our region. We recognize and appreciate the critical role our academic partners play in preparing the future nursing workforce. However, without strategic solutions to address clinical site congestion, we risk constraining students' access to essential hands-on learning experience, which are vital to insurance competency, readiness for practice, and patient safety. So again, kind of the same process we're getting for pre-licensure, post-licensure, it's all in there. And it looks like we have 2 more public comments that popped up. Board moderator.
Okay, the first one is Kathy Marsh, and the second one is just a statement. So
Okay, I'll read the statement while you pull up Kathy Marsh.
Okay.
Okay, on the statement that is in here, it says, while I know that some programs and students pay for preceptors, at USM, we place all of our placements and complete affiliation and preceptor agreements. We know that we do not have our students paying preceptors. We believe this is a professional duty as nurses according to our ANA standards.
And Kathy Marsh.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, and welcome.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Kathy Marsh. I'm the Associate Dean at the Hahn School of Nursing, University of San Diego. I'd like to help the board understand that a historical precedent set in 2000 should not dictate future policy in a fundamentally different clinical environment. The educational landscape in California has significantly changed since the year 2000. Putting a pause on out-of-state approvals is essential to allow the California BRN the necessary time and resources to perform a comprehensive evaluation of how out-of-state clinical placements affect the state's educational ecosystem and clinical site availability. I urge you, please put a pause on out-of-state approvals. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm sorry. Board President Trujillo, there are no other public requests for comments on this WebEx. Oh, somebody jumped in. Hold on one second. Oh, and they are anonymous. Anonymous, if whoever just put in that, I would like to make a comment. Sorry, Lorette. Here we go, Lorette. Thank you. Thank you for identifying yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
There you are. Thank you and welcome.
Hi. Hi, yes, thank you. I am a nurse practitioner student at the University of Arizona, right next door, and I am also a UC Health System employee. And, as a neighboring state, I strongly believe that we should support each other in providing clinical sites here in the state of California, especially, considering that most of the nurses are doing clinicals here also work here. We have a nursing license here. We support the state here by taking care of our, fellow residents. And so it would only be a fair and constitutional supportive asset to allow us to precept here. So I think I'm in support of allowing out of state. And it's not really black and white. You have some schools who have 200 students and you have some schools who have 5 or 10 or 15 students. So I think that needs to be reevaluated as well. And then as far as paying, the University of Arizona and myself, we don't pay preceptors as well. And so I think we strongly support that we should be able to precept in the state of California. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Board President Trujillo, there are no other public requests for comments on the WebEx. Do we have any in-person requests for comments in BRN HQ?
No, it doesn't. Oh, yes, we do.
So good afternoon, members of the board. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I am Dr. Rhoda Murray, and I serve as the Executive Dean for Chamberlain Psych Mental Health Program. And I have my colleague here from Chamberlain as well. I'll let her introduce herself.
Good afternoon, Executive Officer Melby and members of the board. Thank you for having us today. My name is Dr. Brittany Maurer, and I support regulation and accreditation for Chamberlain University, and here today in support of Dr. Murray and the great work she's done on this program. Thank you.
Sorry. Oh, it's green now. Thank you so much. Technology challenge. So thank you for this opportunity. And Executive Officer Melby, thank you for calling out our great relationship here with the board has with Chamberlain. As you all know, we have a presence here in the state with our pre-licensure programs. So I'm here today, as it has been expressed, there's a shortage of mental health nurse practitioners here in the state. And so Chamberlain is uniquely qualified to help meet that requirement. With our vast resources, we can meet students where they live, in the rural areas where access to care is limited. And so I understand the concern about clinical displacement, but our strategy is to add capacity to students and where they live, so we're not competing in the academic and metropolitan hubs. Our program is evidence-based, outcomes-driven, and it includes, we are aligned with California's, with the state's practice expectations. And so we're just here to support and say that we are uniquely qualified and positioned to continue to support California registered nurses who are practicing in the state and want to provide support to the people in the state where they live. So thank you, and I'll take any questions.
My understanding is that these 128 are already enrolled and currently doing clinicals here. Is that accurate?
That is correct. That is correct.
Yes, so you're not asking for an increase. You're just asking to come into compliance with this new process that we just started.
That is correct. And these are California-based registered nurses. They live here in the state. They're not out-of-state students.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for sitting all day to help us make these tough decisions. I appreciate the tone of your comments, which is we're here to expand capacity. We're not competing with other schools. But of course, you just sat through the conversation, so you know that we have, at least one very, very large school that's coming in that isn't here talking about expanding capacity, but in fact is competing with our other in-state schools. So, you can understand kind of that we're between a rock and a hard place. But I do very much appreciate the intention that you bring with you. So thank you very much for
Welcome.
that.
Thank you. And I do want to add that we also do not pay preceptors. And as a practicing nurse practitioner, I understand the challenge with students finding placement, but we do not pay preceptors and we do not encourage students to pay preceptors either. And we do vet all of our preceptors as well. We have a robust vetting process that meets the California requirements. And we also have robust check-ins with our students to make sure they are completing their hours with their approved preceptor as well.
Thank you. And then real quick, I hope that this demonstrated. So ASC came into comment and they said their numbers are projected numbers that they want to enroll. And Chamberlain is now in public comment saying we already have students here. This is our current enrollment. And so hopefully you can kind of see why we're kind of in this middle, like trying to figure out all of that. But hopefully that's helpful information for you guys.
Board Member Vicki Granowitz.
So you're saying that you want approval for the students that you have now. Are you also going to be looking to the future to maintain those numbers going forward?
We will be meeting the board, whatever the board asks us to do. So we certainly want to support our students that are already enrolled. And whatever the board's requirement is, we will meet those requirements for any additional growth.
Any other questions or comments from board members? No?
Do you want to read there's a comment in the.
Yeah, I'm going to ask for a direction on that. We have a repeat commenter. Is that something the board wants to entertain? This person has already come in to comment. You're okay with repeating it? So Thomas Johnson came back into public comment and said, more NPs that enter the workforce, the more potential preceptors moving forward. Also consider separating nonprofit versus for-profit schools. The bigger issue is the NP workforce needed to meet population needs. If California schools cannot meet student needs, they should not penalize out-of-state schools.
Board Member Patricia Nguyen.
Thank you very much. And I think the public comment was very helpful. I was especially pleased to hear ASC saying that was aspirational numbers. I think I heard them say that their psych mental health nurse doesn't have any students right now. They aspire to have 250, so that reduced their number from 600 to 350, which is a more palatable number to me. I think this is an especially tough subject today. I also understand it's where we are. So if we could get a more accurate number from ASC, subtract out the 250. I don't know if the other two numbers were aspirational or whether they had that.
The mention was that they were not in California yet, that this was their projected numbers across the board.
Okay, so I would love to take them out of any motion made right now and really kind of approve where we already are and give staff an opportunity to develop, policies, procedures, regulations for us to move forward. But certainly taking out 600 students from this gives me a relief that I didn't have going into this conversation. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, it's not up to me to acknowledge it.
Board Member Allison Cormack.
I didn't hear that public comment in the same way. I heard a 5 number. I didn't hear a 250 number.
Well, they had 250 mental health on this chart, and they said they didn't have any students in that psych mental health.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I just didn't hear it correctly. Before we get to motions, can I ask a question of Mr. Pejuhesh, our legal counsel? Yeah. When we make other similar decisions, not exactly alike, we have some criteria that we are and are not allowed to use. What I've heard from EO Melby is that everything listed from 8.31 to 8.313 meets our requirements. Is that correct?
Correct. They've been reviewed and they meet our requirements.
Okay. And do we have when we're making other similar, but not exactly the same decisions, we have certain things we're allowed to look at. Is there anything like that here for us from a legal basis?
So we have a regulation, it's 1486, and it basically says they have to meet the same criteria as our in-state programs, meeting curriculum, meeting faculty, and having prepared preceptors. It does not state any of the additional requirements that we're used to using for our pre-licensures.
Yeah, we have it in statute for the pre-licensure schools that explicitly says when considering a new campus or enrollment increase, you can only consider A, B, C, and D.
Right, D.
On the NP side, we don't, the reg Lori mentioned, 1486 is all that we have, and that doesn't spell it out quite as prescriptively as the statute. The statute that we have on the pre-licensure side is really limiting.
Yes,
It
I
limits
understand.
what you can
but
consider.
it's also specific.
It is specific. So here on the NP side, we're not subject to the same limits. We don't have explicit authority on it. So.
Okay, thank you.
Board moderator, can you advance the slide to the motion, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I make a motion?
Go ahead, David.
I move to recommend approval of the non-California-based nurse practitioner education program requesting clinical placement to students in clinical practice settings in California for the tracks and enrollment numbers listed in the corresponding table for this agenda item.
Cormac, second.
I'd like to propose a friendly amendment that we remove ASC post-university until we get more clarity in terms of where they are right now.
So I'm going to ask for clarity on that one. So you're asking for ASC to be pulled out so that we can reach out directly to them and find out what their current enrollment is for in-state students and not their projected enrollment. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And then are they able to come back to the next board meeting?
I would be comfortable with them coming back to the next committee meeting.
Committee meeting and then it would go forward? Correct. Okay. Macaulay?
So I just want to let you guys know that ASC is currently approved. They are approved. The numbers that we have that are posted on our website are 11 family nurse practitioners and 1 psych mental health. So I'm not sure that those numbers are correct.
I wrote it down, 11 and 1.
Hi, everyone. Macaulay Fuzarens, Chief of Licensing. I did want to let you know that ASC is already approved. We've approved them in the past. The current numbers that we have there on our website are 11 family nurse practitioner and 1 psych mental health. But they did previously mention in public comment that they don't have that psych mental health up and running yet. So I am not confident that our numbers are correct, but they do already have approval. So we just need to verify number.
Well, with that said, I would remove my friendly amendment, but I would want to make sure that we're only approving what's already approved and not these numbers.
So your friendly amendment would stand.
Okay.
You would not remove that. So what is currently approved is 11 family and 1 psych mental health. That is current approval. Okay. That is not what they came in was asking for an increase. Okay. So if you do not want to work on the increase, then we would not approve them as part of this motion. And they would continue with their current approval of 11 and 1.
Okay.
Can I ask?
Vicky?
Go ahead, Vicky.
Are all the rest of them already approved? Are there any other ones we could do like what Trish has recommended?
The rest of them are like 5s and 1s and 3s. It's not
but we're not
huge
we're not approving anything going forward.
that may be a separate motion that you guys would like to make after we get this one through.
Okay.
So let me repeat the motion that I believe we have on the table, and that is to recommend approval of the non-California based nurse practitioner education programs requesting clinical placements for students in clinical practice settings in California for the tracks and enrollment numbers listed in the corresponding table to this agenda item, with the exception of ASC that has been removed and is not going forward as an approval. If that is true, I would ask for a so move of the first, the one that made the motion,
So moved.
and then an update to the second.
So moved.
Thank you. And then we will do a vote, but I just want to put out that it looked like there was a comment from, or a request out on the table from Board Member Granowitz that is maybe asking for a second request that says that we would not move forward with any approval of out-of-state nurse practitioner programs until what? Because I'm just going to let you know, we have about 50 schools, is that correct, Macaulay, that are in queue potentially? Just get up here and say.
We do not have a 50 in queue. I want to say about 25 in queue in various stages. We may just have an inquiry. Some of those may have more information. Marianne might know better, but I want to say about 25.
So, I mean, it's important to know that this is a new process. It has been established. We are working through it. We will have to look at that and gather more data to be able to put you guys forward. But again, our current regulatory authority says if they meet the requirements, they come forward to ask for approval. We aren't guaranteed to give it. We do have the ability to pull it, but we can do various things. But what is frowned upon is doing any kind of moratorium and just kind of leaving that. We do need to consider this, because I'm going to tell you, if our board makes a motion that says stop doing this, what I'm going to get is a lot of input from many people saying we are blocking the pipeline, that we are stopping and we are aiding in the provider shortage. So I want to make sure you guys are completely aware of that if that's a motion that you guys want to pursue.
What I wanted to say is, until we get a handle on where the capacity is,
that's going to be years. We don't have a handle on the capacity for pre-licensure. We do not have the technology. We do not have a statewide consortium. We do not have any of that ability.
So basically, we're just going to allow things to be approved, and if the system in state falls apart, it falls apart.
According to public comment, the in-state has already started falling apart.
Yes.
What I don't want is to make a decision based on incomplete evidence. We need to get more evidence. We need to develop processes. And right now that would mean we need to update regulations, et cetera. That is a long process. Understanding that we can continue our review process, we can continue to move things to the board. One of the additional questions that we can ask is, are these students currently enrolled? Is this the numbers of your current students? And then what is the number that you're asking for? So we can pull that data
could
forward.
that be a motion?
You can, or we can just do that as part of our process change.
Okay. There just has to be some way to have some ability to know what's going on.
I have been a proponent of a statewide consortium for many, many years, and I'm just going to continue to put that forward. If we continue to be asked to make these decisions, we have to have the data to make these decisions. We need a statewide consortium. We need to be able to get the data. We need to have legislation to do that. We do not have authority over facilities. We can't have that. There's a lot of changes that have to be done in order for this to work.
What can we do now that helps move that forward?
This, and talk to your representatives.
We're approving schools that are already approved.
Yep.
The students who are already.
No, I get that part. No, I get
We're
that
just
part.
approving or approving.
No, I get that.
And without this, you can't do that.
Yep. Okay, so we've gone to public comment. We have a first and a second. We'll do a roll call vote.
Just real quick,
Go for it.
just for the record, tiny thing. Lori, in stating the proposed motion, said to recommend approval of, and I'm certain that you meant to approve.
I meant motion to, on the slide, it says recommend. That's our fault. But it is motion to approve. Sorry. Anybody else? No.
comments? All right, we'll take it to a roll vote. We got a first and second on the floor. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Vice President Neela Patel.
Patel, yes.
Board Member Jovita Dominguez.
Dominguez, yes.
Board Member Tricia Nguyen.
Nguyen, yes.
Board Member David Lawler.
Lawler, yes.
Board Member Vicki Granowitz.
Granowitz, yes.
Board Member Allison Cormack.
Cormac, yes.
And Board Member Katie Nair.
Nair, yes.
Thank you.
So we're going to move on to agenda items 8.4 and 8.5. Those are information only for NCLEX update and licensing updates. Those are found in your package. They're able to be read. I'm going to open it up for both agenda items to see if our board members have any questions or comments on the data that was presented in the material pack. Allison. Or sorry,
Yes.
Board Member Cormack.
Yes, thank you, EOMLB. I'm just seeing the NCLEX numbers dipping. We thought last time it was maybe a blip, but it seems a little bit more like a trajectory now. It's not in the worrisome category, but it's no longer in the like, yay, all is fine category. So any thoughts, anything we should be paying attention to?
There's a lot of things that we can kind of look at with that. And that is, again, programs utilizing clinical settings that may not be as robust as they have been before. And they are reaching out into the community settings more and more and more and finding alternative placements. We do allow for telehealth to be counted as direct patient care hours as well. And that is new since 2020, but also understanding that there was an update to our NCLEX is now considered the next gen NCLEX. And so that is expected that when you do change to a new test kind of theme, that there could be dips following that as they transition to a new kind of test and teaching to that. So there are several things that could play into that. Right now, we are still doing incredibly well, and we would just continue to monitor it from our standpoint.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. One of the things that is in our Sunset report is looking at quality indicators that are evidence-based through National Council of State Boards of Nursing. So within those studies that support that, they talk about how important nursing program directors are and the faculty are, and based on the importance of the program director and the faculty really leads the entire school and whether the success measures are done that. So when we see schools grow and they don't have the resources, when we see that there's a lack of faculty or a bunch of new faculty and faculty turnover, all of that affects the students. We look at the NCLEX pass rate as, from a nursing perspective, the NCLEX pass rate is like if your urine output drops below 30, it's showing you that you have organ damage, right? So our kidneys are no longer functioning. So the NCLEX pass rate is a latent indicator. That means everything else has fallen and now it's hit the students. So that is truly how we look at it. A lot of people look at NCLEX pass rate and says everything's good. Well, that's the last thing to fall. So when our NECs go out and do our continuing approval visits and they find programs in noncompliance and they say they don't have resources or their curriculum's not right and the NCLEX pass rates are still good, that's accurate, but it doesn't mean that it's going to maintain that way because now these building blocks are starting to fall. So just to put that out there.
Quick question. Having said that, should we look at whether or not telehealth is really helping our students at this point? I understand that we had to make that caveat during COVID and during the pandemic, but do we need to relook at that?
I'm not sure that it's telehealth only. In our regs, 1427 says that the nursing education consultants can only approve clinicals that meet the objectives, right? And so the review process that we do right now, I think could be increased. However, that becomes problematic with our schools because they have, they might approve 500 clinical sites, but they might be using one or two, right? So when we approve those clinical sites, it does show that you can meet those clinical objectives. But again, we don't do the placements, the schools do. And so what really comes down to that is the schools, because again of the clinical issues that are coming for displacement and impaction and stuff, they are reaching out to alternate clinical sites And truly, when you look at, and nursing is not considered STEM yet, right? But that is a big national push to have nursing education considered STEM. And in order to teach that, that's where we get into that concurrency. If you teach theory, you want to also see that in a clinical setting and a laboratory setting so that they can play off of each other. When you run into those issues and the clinical setting is not showing you what you're seeing in your theory, and the laboratory setting is not showing you what you're seeing in clinicals, and it becomes disjointed, the students are affected. And so our schools are accurately saying that the clinical displacement is affecting them. It is now starting to show over in a statewide average of our NCLEX. Additionally, that faculty crisis that comes in, when you get a new faculty member that has never taught before, it takes them about 3 years to get up to speed. They're teaching for those 3 years. And so the ability for them to teach improves over time. And so the students that are taught by the brand new faculty member may not have the same kind of robustness. And that's, again, in our regulations, we require that all new faculty have a mentorship and an orientation and onboarding. That is also why we step into that process. But there are several laws that have changed recently, one saying that we don't have to approve faculty. So there are many things that could be contributing into this dip. It could be that we added telehealth. It could be that we're no longer holding the faculty all at equal levels for approval throughout the state because they're deferring to accreditors. The argument with that is accreditors require a higher degree than we do. So they do believe that they are prepared, but they may not have that recency in practice that we require, that accreditors don't require. It's a lot. And I could go on for hours and hours. You probably don't want me to do that. Are we ready? Okay. Public comment for information only on 8.4 and 5.
Beer and moderator, can you open us up for public comment on 8.4 and 8.5?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment.
Probably the first thing tomorrow morning.
I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, I would like to make a comment. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. RZC would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. And yay, it's fixed now, just in case you were wondering.
Thank you, Mark, for troubleshooting that and fixing it.
And RZC on your computer behind a window, behind all of your, if you have anything open, you'll have a small window that says unmute me. And if you're on your phone, it is, what is it, *67, *69? RZC, are you unable to unmute?
If you're not able to unmute, but you're able to type in the comment, we ask you to do so at this time.
Oh, the microphone is not working. Please type in your comment.
RZC, that would be great, and I'll read it for you.
Lori, do you have that?
I do. So RZ, thank you. It says, thank you. I've been in the meeting all day and I would like to know when will endorsements be discussed for out-of-state nurses. Endorsement for out-of-state nurses was not on our agenda item for today. We did open up in the morning for public comments for items that are not on the agenda, and that could have been brought up and talked at that point. However, just understanding that items for public comment that are not on the agenda would not have a robust board discussion. And so RZC, if you would do me a favor, I would like you to email me, loretta.melby@dca.ca.gov. I could find out what your concerns and comments are. And if that's something that does need to be agendized, I can put it forward to our admin committee that consists of our board's vice president and president and see if that's something that they would like to add to a future agenda so that we can discuss endorsements from out of state. If you would be willing to do that, that would be great. Loretta.melby@dca.ca.gov. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Hold on. Karen would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Reza, just a comment. So again, we have another comment that's coming in typing right now on agenda item 8.2, which was Unitech. They're saying that there was technical difficulties. Is that something we want to read now, or how would you like to address that?
I would suggest take the comment, and if it doesn't impact what the board wants to do with the agenda item that it pertains to, then it can just be heard and we can move on. If it does impact that, then we would want to go back and reopen that discussion.
Okay, so the comment in the section says there were technical difficulties and several of us did not get a chance to comment on 8.2. My main concern here is at the actual location of this campus. I went to a program in this area. There are already 5 other private nursing colleges literally within a couple blocks. There are too many. And that was related to the Unitech approval that went through with our board.
So if that causes any board members to want to reopen that agenda item, go ahead and speak now. That individual mentioned that there were others who wanted to comment and were unable to. They should probably attempt the similar track as what this person did. We want to make sure that any action the board takes that we do so after hearing the comments of anyone who wants to speak up on it. Of course, there are technological limitations, time constraints, all kinds of limits on our ability to do that, but we do want to make our best efforts to hear folks out. So if there are folks who still had comments and were unable to make them, maybe you can sneak them in. If your comments resembled comments that were already made, we'd still love to hear from you, but at least the board did hear those comments. So unfortunately, yeah, it sounds like the board members are not going to be reopening that item based on that one comment. So I'd say it's probably fine to move forwards.
I did receive an email and this in public comment now. So we have had people use alternative routes to get those comments out to us, and we were able to share those with you. So hopefully it does show that we attempted to rectify that. We now have this adjusted and we've been able to move forward with public comment. So thank you. Just received another one. Mark, that was just deleted. The one with DD. Did that?
Yes, she was saying that she tried to comment, but she did comment. She was able to speak.
Okay.
And there are no others in the WebEx. Do we have any in-person in Buren HQ?
No, it doesn't appear that we do.
Thank you. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please.
There's no vote that needs to be done. We can move on to 9.1.
Turn it over to Patricia. Go ahead, Tricia.
All right, okay, so we're going to move to item 9.0, which is the report of the Enforcement Investigation Intervention Committee. Item 9.1 is the same conversation we've had at the other two committee meetings, and I'm going to turn it over to E.O. Melby to describe this.
It's the same conversation, and so we want to do the work of the committee and then have it go to board on consent. And if you guys are okay with that, we can go ahead and go forward with the motion. If you guys want further discussion, I'm open and here to entertain that.
Go ahead. Did I say here that Mr. Lawler's willing to make a motion?
Yes, I move to, we did that.
If you can just advance the slide, please, then I'm confident that I will be a second to Board Member Lawler.
Thank you. I move to approve the process to change for the work of the committee to be presented to the board as consent agenda items on information only, unless the board wants to pull out a specific item to discuss during the board meeting.
Second.
Do we have a motion and a second on that? Is there any discussion from board members? Okay, would the board moderator please take us out to public comment on this item?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their requests for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Nguyen, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. Do we have any in-person requests for comments in BRNHQ?
No, we don't.
Thank you. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please, and thank you very much. So if there's no questions or comments from board member, I'm prepared to call the roll. Nguyen votes aye. President Trujillo?
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
Vice President Patel?
Patel, aye.
Chair, Board Member Dominguez?
Dominguez, yes.
Board Member Lawler?
Lawler, yes.
Board Member Granowitz?
Granowitz, yes.
Board Member Cormack?
Cormack, yes.
Board Member Nair?
Nair, yes.
Great, that motion passes. So we'll move to item number 9.2, discussion and possible action regarding appointments and reappointments of the Intervention Evaluation Committee members. Jaspreet?
Good afternoon.
Yep, please.
I'm Jaspreet Pavla. I'm the Intervention Program Manager. And I wanted to present, we've had 3 appointments that were reviewed by board staff and interviews were conducted by the subcommittee. 3 new candidates are being recommended to serve as IEC members. That is LaQuisha Westerfield, Morgan Baldwin, and Raven Battles. Those are the 3 new being requested to be appointed as IEC members. As you can see, we have 13 new total reappointments. 9 of these individuals are being asked to be reappointed. 6 were proposed as transfers. Those transfers are due to various reasons. Some are current vacancies that we have on other IECs. Some are because during COVID, we had appointed members based on just need, not geographic location, so they are being moved. The other is because based on workload of the committee, we are currently at 140 participants. And so those are being transferred, and there's 3 members who had completed their first term, so they're eligible for reassignment. They're eligible for a reappointment. And there's 4 noted current IEC 11 members who are being requested to be transferred as well for that need. Because of our current participant number, we are moving those members to vacancies to better meet our needs of our the IECs.
Thank you very much. I will say that Vice President Patel and I did interview the 3 new members. They were highly qualified and really seem like they have the right temperament and experience to do this work. So we have both new appointments and then reappointments in this agenda item. And if there are no questions from the board, I would be happy to entertain a motion.
This is Board Member Cormack. Having reviewed all of the information, and with thanks to the subcommittee and most importantly to the people who are willing to serve, I'm happy to move approval of the IEC appointments and reappointments as presented in the board's agenda and materials.
David Lawler, second.
Great. We have a motion and a second. Without further questions or comments from board members, would the board moderator please take us out to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing in the question box, I would like to make a comment. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. Committee Chair Nguyen, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. Do we have any in-person requests for comments there in BRNHQ?
No, there are not. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. I'm going to go ahead and call the roll. Nguyen votes aye. President Trujillo?
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
Vice President Patel?
Patel, aye.
Board Member Dominguez?
Dominguez, yes.
Board Member Lawler?
Lawler, yes.
Board Member Granowitz?
Granowitz, yes.
Board Member Cormack?
Cormack, yes.
Board Member Nair?
Nair, yes.
Great, that motion passes. So item 9.3 is just the report of the committee. As you can see, it was information only on every item except the item that we took up 2 items ago. So is there any conversation or any questions on this item?
No, I just need to go over it. So items 9.3, those were covered in the prior EIIC committee. These are the ones of the new process that are going through as consent only. So at this point, I would like you, again, you can view the WebEx there, you can review that, you can watch it. So at this point, if you guys agree to accept the recommendations from the EIIC, I would like a motion that's on the screen.
I move to accept the recommendations of the Enforcement Investigations and Intervention Committee.
Great. Is there a second?
Patel seconds.
Ms. Patel seconds. Thank you. Any questions or comment on this item? Do we move to public comment on this item? Yes, please. Board moderator, would you please take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, I would like to make a comment. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. Committee Chair Nguyen, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. Do we have any in-person requests for comments in BRNHQ?
No, we don't.
Thank you. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please, and thank you very much. So we'll go ahead and take this item to a vote. Chair Nguyen votes aye. President Trujillo?
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
Vice President Patel?
Patel, aye.
Board Member Dominguez?
Dominguez, yes.
Board Member Lawler?
Lawler, yes.
Board Member Granowitz?
Granowitz, yes.
Board Member Cormack?
Cormack, yes.
Board Member Nair?
Nair, yes.
We are a very agreeable group. Thank you very much. That motion passes, and I am done with my committee report.
Thank you. So before we end for the day, I do want to do some housekeeping. So agenda item 10.0 is closed session. And tomorrow's board meeting, the agenda says that we start off with any items that were not completed the day before. So tomorrow morning, because we only have about under 40 minutes of remaining of our day today, closed session will not be finished. So we will open up tomorrow into closed session. And so what I'm going to ask for our board is to kind of make a decision when we believe that we might be able to enter ledge. We do start at 9 o'clock. Do we think that we should plan to open ledge at 11, at noon? What are you guys thinking so that we can have the public prepared? Because what I don't want is the public sitting on the WebEx at 9 o'clock and waiting hours and hours to get into legislation. It looks like 11 o'clock is being presented. So at this point, I want our public to know that we are going to recess into closed session. We're going to manage the board business in closed session. We're going to reopen into open session tomorrow at 11 a.m. If anything changes, we will make a screen saver of some sort that says we'll change the time if it's not 11. We will not start open session prior to 11. That is a guarantee. So you will be noticed if it goes longer than 11. But the intent is to open up in open session tomorrow for discussion of the legislative committee at 11 o'clock a.m. Thank you. We are recessing out of open session.